Hey guys, what is going on? This is Car number 5, and today I have a video for you talking about the difference between walks per nine and control and some other factors that go into pitching in general. We're going to be using Madison Bumgarner as our guinea pig, I guess you could say. And what we're going to do is we're going to do two recordings here. We're going to do one where he has maxed out walks per nine, one where he has 0 walks per nine. We're actually going to start with 0 walks per nine first. And what else we've done is we've modified the control on each pitch. We gave 2 pitches 99 control, the 4-seam and slider. We want to make sure we have 1 fastball and 1 breaking ball in there. We also gave his curveball and 2-seamer 0 control. And then his changeup, we just put it up 50 control. These aren't his default ratings, right? I mean, everything else is his default ratings except the control, I should say, and the walks per nine. So when we do that, he drops all the way down to a 79 overall. So that does show you how much walks per nine does affect the overall. Next, we're going to show you guys some gameplay of the 0 walks per nine, talk about the different interfaces and the impact it has on the game, and as well as show you the difference between the controls too. So we're going to try to break all this down for you guys, so bear with me and stay tuned for the gameplay with 0 walks per nine. Welcome back, guys. We are in pitching practice here. Keep in mind we have Madison Bumgarner at 0 walks per nine. We have our slider and 4-seam at 99 control, curveball and 4-seam at 0 control. So we're going to compare and contrast these pitches. The first thing that's most important, and again, I'm showing you the 4-seamer here to realize, is that each pitch type affects the ease and difficulty of your pitching interface and how accurate you'll be. This is the 4-seamer. I'm just showing you guys. 4-seamer has 99 in control. Now compare that to Madison Bumgarner's 2-seamer down the middle here. It looks about the same, right? They're both pulsating really big because of the fact walks per nine is at 0. So right there is your answer if you're looking for walks per nine is more important than control, and we're gonna further prove this as the video goes on. So please bear with me. Some other factors, like I'm saying, pitch type has a huge impact, and I'll show you guys the curveball and slider. Now the slider, this has 99 control, but you can tell it's a little bit bigger than even the 2-seam with 0 control. Alright, it will maximize that. And then next I'm going to show you the curveball, and there is really no difference at all, and if there is a difference, it is really subtle. That's a changeup actually. The changeup's at 50 control. But here's the curveball. See, it's pretty much the same with the slider. It's freaking huge. So pitch type has a huge impact. And guys, we're mainly going to stick with pulse because visually it is the easiest to demonstrate to you guys how walks per nine and control affects the pitching interfaces. I'll talk about the other interfaces a little bit too at the end. But for the sake of this video, we are gonna stick with pulse. So again, this is the 4-seamer. I mean, it's pretty hard to minimize it. You can see it maximizes to be freaking huge, bigger than the strike zone, and this is the 2-seamer. Pretty much the same. Alright, we try to minimize as much as possible. It's still pretty big, mainly because of walks per nine. So we're seeing that 99 control does not have that much of an impact on anything, and we're going to further prove that. We're going to go into another clip, guys, where I have maxed out walks per nine, and we're still going to have the same pitches with the same control, 4-seam and slider at 99 and curveball and 2-seam at 0, so stay tuned for that clip. Alright guys, we are back in pitching practice. Now we have 99 walks per nine assigned to Madison Bumgarner, and I want to start to show you guys the huge differences that walks per nine has on gameplay and your pitching interface. We're using pulse again, and I want to show you guys the 4-seam and 2-seam. Now keep in mind the 4-seam still has 99 control and the 2-seam still has 0 control. This is the 4-seam. You notice how much smaller that is and how much more easier that is to control. It still pulsates at a 25 pulses per 10 seconds. I still tested that, but what it's doing is it's a lot smaller and it's a lot easier to minimize. And I don't know how to word this, but you can't maximize it as big compared to last time. I think you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. But there's the 4-seam. Now here's the two seam. This has zero control. Alright? And I'll show you guys at the end a comparison snap of the two where I had both perfect releases on them. Alright, they're exactly the same pretty much. Pretty much exactly the same. Now if there is a difference, and this is where it got kind of hard to determine what control actually does. So I think this pretty much confirms that walks per 9 is way more important. Walks per 9 is directly impacting how easy it is to manipulate my pitching interface, regardless if it's analog meter or even classic. As you can see there, here's the 4 seam, and then here's the 2 seam. And for the sake of the video, I can't really show you guys meter and analog. Just trust me on this. With analog, it's going to be a lot more sensitive with a lower walks per 9. And when you have a higher walks per 9, it's going to kind of magnet you towards the spot you're trying to hit more often than not. Same for meter. When you're pitching with meter, think of it as a sweet spot of the bat. Think of it having more open timing and has a higher chance of a green. So the higher walks per 9 you have, the more easy it is to hit your sweet spot when using pitching meter, and vice versa. The smaller your walks per 9, the lower it is, the harder it is to hit that sweet spot. So again, 4 seam and 2 seam. There's the 4 seam. Here's the 2 seam. Exactly the same, guys. Just trust me on this. Now, if there is a difference, and this is where I started, coming up with some theories. If there is a difference, and I'll show you guys slider and curveball. This is slider. If there is a difference between the two, I'm only going to say that control has a very, very minimal impact on gameplay. If it does anything in the game, I have one of two theories. One, it affects the consistency of your pitches, meaning like if you get a perfect release, you're going to hit your spot more often than not, but when you barely miss, you're not going to get punished as bad. That's considered consistency. So it might affect that. I also believe it might just be a slight modification to the overall walks per 9 attribute. Again, this is the slider. So what that means is if I have a pitcher with 99 walks per 9 and a pitcher with 0 control, it's going to say they have a cap of 10%, something like that. It might affect my walks per 9 by 9 points, and it might drop his, walks per 9 down to a 90. And then, the complete opposite would be you have 99 walks per 9, 99 control. It won't modify it at all. It'll still stay at 99 walks per 9. So, I mean, that being said, if it goes from 0 to 99 like that, and this is what we're doing in the test, we're not seeing much of a difference. That would mean that a lot of pitchers that have 50, 60 control and then really good walks per 9, is that you're not going to notice the difference at all. It might drop 1 to 2 walks per 9 if that theory is true. So, my conclusion is that walks per 9, well, this isn't a conclusion, this is a fact. We both see it here. Walks per 9 has a much bigger impact on gameplay. I can't really prove it in any other way than showing you guys pulse, and then you guys should test it yourself. You'll be able to notice. However, control either has no impact on gameplay, or it is to the fact where it's so minimal it's going to be irrelevant anyways. It might affect either consistency or it might modify walks per 9, and that's pretty much it. So if you're looking at pitchers in Diamond Dynasty and which pitches are going to be easier to have good control with, you want to pay attention to that walks per 9 attribute. It is extremely important. Walks per 9 does have an impact on gameplay, as you're seeing here. Again, this is the slider, and I'll show you guys the curveball. As you see the curveball, again, we have 0 control. Alright, there's the curveball, and then we'll go back to the slider. See, it's roughly about the same. If there is a difference, it's very minimal. But I think the point of this video is to get the information out there to you guys that walks per 9 is definitely the superior attribute, and that's the one you want to focus on. So yeah, and before I conclude this video, I do want to talk about the differences in the interfaces a little bit and just show you guys. Like I said, a meter, I believe it opens up the sweet spot a little bit more. Here we are throwing the 4-seamer. Alright, I'm not going to hit my spot every time, but it's just easier to get good releases with it. With a higher walks per 9, that is. Meter is still really difficult to use, though. Like I have 99 walks per 9 on, pitch 99 control, and it's still hard to hit it. But you can see there, we barely missed and it was still off. So that's with meter. They're all gonna have an impact, and trust me, I tested it with 0 walks per 9. It's even more difficult. I think with analog though, you can tell a difference easier. So I feel like with analog, it kind of guides you to that spot. It kind of magnets you to your spot more often than not. Whereas lower walks per 9, it's going to be more sensitive, and it's not going to have like a you know what I'm talking about, like in Call of Duty, like there's an aim assist. I feel like there's almost an aim assist with analog, the higher walks per 9. In the lower walks per 9, I feel like there's kind of like no aim assist, and it's more sensitive. Now, one thing that control might have an impact on, and which I'm not going to get too much into depth here, that is the classic pitching. Since it is purely determined by attributes, control might have somewhat of an impact here, since like there is really no input. So we saw the fastball there, and then we see the two-seamer here. Just control, I'm just tapping it. You see the two-seamer's way off. Let's try the four-seamer in the same spot. You see it. I mean, you see it. They're both really not even close. It seems kind of random too for classic. That actually hit my spot. Two-seamer actually hit the spot there, so it just seems really random. So in conclusion, again, I will reiterate this: walks per 9 is way more important than control. If control does anything in the game, it's very minimal. It might affect consistency, or it might modify walks per 9 slightly. The one thing control that actually has an impact on is classic pitching, which I'm not really going to get much into, or it might have more of an impact for simulations. But we're looking for Diamond Dynasty players, or for online rated players or pitchers to use, you want to pay more attention to that walks per 9 attribute. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you guys have any more questions, follow me at Twitter at CardinalBird5. Let me know what you guys think the difference between the two is. It's actually quite funny. I did a poll a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people thought control had a bigger impact. So, alright, guys. So I also have a snapshot comparison of the two on perfect releases. So stay tuned for that. Alright, guys, and this is one snap I want to show you guys where I got 2 perfect releases. This is when I had 99 walks per 9, and the 2-seam has 0 control. The 4-seam again has 99 control. Again, 2 perfect releases, and they pretty much look identical. I really didn't notice much difference at all. If the control rating does something, it's very hard to prove, and it's very hard to get a feel for what it does. So yeah, that's the snap comparison I had to show you guys.